Did the old prophets actually meet angels on top of mountains? Or were they highly intelligent beings from a galaxy far, far away? Today, we're taking a look at 3 well-known sightings of UFOs. Because let's face it, we're not alone, and the evidence is everywhere.
Throughout history, there have been many purported UFO sightings across the globe. Many theories have been proposed about them. This ranges from migratory birds to satellites to alien spaceships. Till today, most of these sightings have remained unresolved. I previously made a video on 3 famous UFO sightings, but that's not all. This time, we're taking a look at 3 more. If you're curious, let's get right into this video. First up, we have the Lubbock Lights. This event took place on August 25, 1951. On that evening, 3 science professors from Texas Tech were enjoying the outdoors in Lubbock. What they saw next was an eerie sight. When they looked up, a semicircle of lights was flying above them at a high speed. This was the start of a series of strange sightings. Over the next few days, dozens of reports were received from across town. Texas Tech freshman Carl Hart Jr. even snapped photos of these lights. These photos were published in newspapers and magazines across the country. The phenomenon was later dubbed the Lubbock Lights. As a result, the U.S. Air Force undertook an official inquiry into the sightings under the codename Project Blue Book. The official conclusion was that the lights were migratory plover birds. These birds supposedly reflected the light from Lubbock's newly installed street lamps, giving the impression of strange lights floating in the sky. But many of the witnesses disagreed. They refused to accept this explanation, arguing that the lights were flying too fast. Some local biology experts also claimed the objects were too big to be birds. And it wasn't just citizens objecting. One high-level government employee also disputed the Air Force's findings. Air Force investigators met with the federal game warden to discuss their theory. In this meeting, the FGW expressed his doubts. Like the citizens, he disagreed that the lights were plover birds. This was because plovers were not prevalent in the Lubbock area at that time of year. Until today, the sightings remain a mystery. The U.S. Air Force has not revised its plover-like theory about the Lubbock Lights, even after 70 years. So what were those lights, if not birds? Loveland, 1957. Classic horror movie buffs may recall a famous scene in the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In that scene, a UFO makes the electronics in a car go haywire. While it seems outlandish, this scene was inspired by a real-life incident. The incident took place a few years after the Lubbock sightings in Loveland, Texas. Witnesses report multiple sightings of a rocket or strange lights in the sky. Somehow, these lights were able to disrupt vehicle engines, as well as the lights in their homes. That certainly doesn't sound like something natural. Here's a drawing from one of the witnesses. The police were called in to investigate. Although skeptical of this supposed hoax at first, they reported the same sight. After further investigation by higher authorities, the verdict was that an electrical storm and ball lightning had caused the outages. Strangely, there were no reported thunderstorms in the area that night. Could it have been a sudden freak thunderstorm? It's possible. Some thunderstorms can develop rapidly and dissipate soon after. Conspiracy theorists claim otherwise. They believe UFOs have the capability of disrupting electronics. This is based on several other sightings where similar events occurred. One such encounter occurred in Buckingham Park, England, in 2017. Residents were reportedly buzzed by a loud UFO. After the strange lights passed over, their power went out. The Roman UFO encounter. Like these 2 cases, a vast majority of UFO encounters were reported in the 19th and 20th centuries. This is, of course, due to the introduction of cameras and recorded footage. Still, sightings of strange objects in the sky go back centuries, even millennia. I've talked about evidence detailing some of these sightings in my other videos. This includes testimonials, strange cave paintings, and even Holy Scripture verses. One such sighting was reported by the Roman historian Livy in 218 BC. Unfortunately, Livy only devoted 1 sentence to documenting it. In his writing, he speaks of phantom ships seen gleaming in the sky. For a more detailed testimony, we can turn to Pliny the Elder, who supplied his account 42 years later. Pliny was a renowned writer, naturalist, and philosopher. He wrote about his encounter with what may have been a UFO. In chapter 35 of his work, Naturalis Historia, he says, "We have an account of a spark falling from a star and increasing as it approached the earth until it became the size of the moon, shining as though through a cloud. It afterwards returned into the heavens. Some historians claim he was describing a meteor, but meteors don't fly back up into the sky, do they? A UFO, on the other hand, sounds more plausible. 2 years after Pliny wrote this, more sightings were reported in the skies. In 74 BC, Plutarch of Chaeronea wrote of an aerial mystery that occurred during a bloody battle. This UFO sighting happened as the armies of Lucullus and Mithridates VI clashed in Asia. In his writing, Plutarch describes a huge flying object in the sky between the armies. It was wine vessel-shaped and silver in color. Plutarch was also a known drunkard, though. His detractors suggest this sighting was merely him staring too intently at a jug of wine. Aside from Livy, Pliny, and Plutarch, there are supposed UFO sightings accounts from other Roman writers and historians as well. Paulus Orosius, Seneca the Elder, and Flavius Josephus also documented strange sightings. One commonality in these was that the objects were flying craft of some sort. It's hard to sort out the truth, unfortunately. Many Roman historians tended to use metaphors alongside accurate descriptions of events. It was also common for them to be biased, slandering previous public figures to prop up more recent ones. This means determining the line between reality and fiction is hard. But then again, present-day historical records still have this issue to some extent. It's safe to say that UFO sightings have been reported since time immemorial, and yet, we still have no real answers about their nature. Are these wandering birds, missiles, alien craft from beyond the stars? The truth is out there, but it's not easy to find. Make sure to comment below on what your thoughts are.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching this episode of UFOlogy. See you in the next one.